are in the shot.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. I just need to do some things to fix because I couldn't get the other one to work. Dun, dun, dun. It doesn't seem like I can get a link, so I'm just going to continue. And if you're watching this late, apologies because I couldn't get it to work. So the original link is not viable. So I will put this into the blog post so that anyone can watch afterwards. And I'm just going to power through. It's not going to be too long today because it's just we're doing 2 steps. And we're just focusing on version 2 and the split front. So I don't have a finished version to show you because my finished version will be what I make today. But what we're going to be doing is you'll need 3 pieces of your cut out fabrics. Ooh, and before we discuss cutting out your fabrics, I wanted to show you my fabrics. So I ended up cutting, I had this vintage silk blend of some kind. I don't know because it's just don't have that information, but it's quite drapey, as you can tell here. And I'm just going to try and fix this light. So it's quite drapey, and it was very finicky to cut, to the point where I actually had to cut to a second piece to this bodice piece. So I had 3 total because it totally shifted on me. And so what I would do, if you have a similar type of very drapey fabric, I would use the spray starch. We have a couple of them at the store. You might have it at home if you are a quilter. And it's quite good. And this one has a scent. This one is from Soak. And it's the Pineapple Grove. So when I was spraying it, I just got to smell lots of pineapple. But there's also unscented versions. And the whole idea is it's like a starch spray that you use for like collars and so on. So it makes it slightly stiffer so that it's not as shifty, so that when you're cutting it or when you're sewing it, it's easier to do so. On that note, you can also layer it. So you can spray, let it dry, spray, let it dry, and so on until you get that crispness that you're looking for, or to make it easier for you. And then as soon as you throw it in the wash, it will disappear. So it's really good. So that's my recommendation for shifty fabrics. My fabric that I'm using today is not shifty, and I did this on purpose because I did not want it to have troubles while we're sewing tonight. So you need your buttonhole piece. It's a small little piece, you just have one. And then you'll need your 2 bodice pieces. Now with your buttonhole piece, I was hoping to use my phone for this, but again, technical difficulties, I couldn't do it. So next week, I'm just going to go live. I'm not going to set up the stream. So this way, everyone will just go into the channel and check it from there, because I have to use my laptop and is precariously set up. And if I shift just a little bit too much with the laptop, it could fall down. So I'm not going to move things around, but I will show you in this scenario. Oops, gotta show this way. This is my hot ruler. I mentioned it, and it has a stain there. I mentioned it last week. The reason why I like to use this is it has these little markings here. And there's a quarter, half, 3/4, and so on. And when I'm doing hemming or any sort of folding, this is what I like to use to make sure I'm being accurate. So, as an example, with your buttonhole strip, you have to fold it 1/4 of an inch in, and that's how I did it. So I just went to the 1/4 inch line, fold my fabric, and then I use my iron on top of this, laying it flat. I use my iron on top of this, and I go like that. So you would do that on the inside, and then you go again on the bottom, and then you'll fold it in half. So you get a much neater piece than this. I'm just going to quickly do it over here in my iron, which you'll still be able to see. So that kind of works out. Okay, so some people are able to tune in. Apologies, everyone, if you're tuning in now. I had some technical difficulties with the set up scheduled video. It wasn't letting me go live. So in the future, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just folding in my pieces. I had pre-folded it, so I don't need to use my hot ruler. And this fabric that I'm working on is 100% cotton. So I have my iron at the highest heat, but if you have a more delicate fabric, just follow whatever directions your iron says you can. And when you're at this stage, the last fold in the middle, just because there's multiple folds, you're just going to want to hold your iron a little bit longer. Oh, I put that too close. Okay. So you have this skinny little strip that will be your button, not the buttonhole, button loop, not the button holder. You'll have this little skinny strip, and now you're going to sew along the open edge. So that's my open edge, and you're just going to sew that shut. And don't forget to load your matching thread if you are matching, or whatever sort of thread you're doing. Can you guys see okay? What if I turn that off? That's better. I'm just going to go slow because this is quite tiny. Okay, so now you have your almost finished piece. And now what you're going to do is you got to make that little loop here. So what you do, just hold it. Whoops. I got to do it facing you guys. Hold it like that. And then just and down. So if I were to pull that out, just like that, little loop. And then we measure it 4 centimeters. So I'm using my seam gauge. I've measured 4 centimeters from the tip. How do I show you this? Okay. And so now we cut anything in excess of the 4 centimeters. I imagine the pattern is written this way just because the tinier the fabric, it's just more finicky. So this makes it less finicky. So we're just going to snip off that extra inch or so. I'm just going to and if you don't have a seam gauge, just grab your ruler or measuring tape and just make a little marking and then snip it that way. So now we have our little piece and we're just going to fold one just like that, one edge over the other, and we're going to baste it. So basting is an extra long stitch. It's just to hold something in place. It's not meant, hold something in place temporarily. That's the key word. It's not meant to keep it the entire time. So normally a basting length is about 4 centimeters on your machine. Let me see if I can bring this closer. So on my machine, I have my lengthening part over here. So I'm just going to increase it I'll increase it to, well, if I go much further than 4, it might not actually stitch because it's not a very wide spot. But the idea is that you don't have to backstitch. Where my machine go? Yeah, no, yeah, pedal unplugged itself. Okay, so it's just a couple of stitches just to hold it in place. And then you're done your button loop for now. So I'm just going to tuck that aside. And now we're going to do the bodice. So you should have your 2 pieces. And don't forget to cut out any of your notches that you have to cut out, or snip, sorry, I should say, from your original pattern piece. So there will be a little arrow. I have moved all my pattern pieces, but there will be a little arrow marking. So you should always trace that onto your pattern, and then on your pattern piece, you'll snip those markings there. And then another thing too, oh, I really should. I'll be right back. Okay. So these are the little triangles that I mentioned. You're going to want to snip your fabric there. And then this bodice on the split front, it has a long line here and then snips over here. There's not supposed to be 2. I just made a mistake. At the top, I'm cutting out all the light. At the top of this, I would make a small little hole with your snizzers. Sorry, with your snips or your scissors or a sharp pen, and just poke a little hole through there because you're going to need to transfer a marking from there onto your fabric. So again, I would use something that would wash off. So a chalk or a water-soluble pen. I have this air erasable marker because I knew I was going to iron on top of it and I didn't want it to come off with water. So this is just, it's from the shop. It's called an air erasable marker. It's extra fine. But again, something that will, as long as and ultimately you're doing it on the inside of the fabric so it doesn't come off completely. That's fine. You just want to make sure it doesn't bleed through to your right side. Oops, upside down. So then when you put you'll put this pattern piece on top of your fabric on the right side. You've got to remember that you're going to have one side this way and one side that way. So when you're transferring this piece, you want to make sure you do, if your fabric is the exact same on both sides, maybe with your water soluble pen or pencil of some kind, something that will come off, write wrong side to help your brain a little bit. That's what I did. I just did a little arrow, little star that I guess you can see here to make sure that I know which is the wrong side. So that I made sure I need to look at it. Okay, it's here. I made a little marking there. It's barely noticeable with my fabric, but I made a little marking there. And that is where we're going to stop sewing. So I've already pre-ironed, but using the same method that you did with the button loop, you're just going to fold 1/4 inch. Pretty sure that's what it says in the instructions. Double check the instructions in case I'm wrong. Yeah, 1/4 inch on the wrong side. So again, like I said, my fabric is the exact same on both sides, but if yours isn't, if yours is the same, just make a little marking so you know what's what. And if it's not, then you'll know. You'll have it'll be easy to tell. So I have one side that way, and then I have one side that way, so you can see. And this is the wrong side, so I'm going to place these 2 folded edges together, and I'm going to pin them or clip them. Whoops. I wish I had music during these boring parts. So I'm just going to put a couple more. And you should be able to see your dot, your transfer. There it is right there because you shouldn't have covered it with the folded edge. So now we're just going to start from the bottom, or does it say start from the top? It doesn't matter. Okay, just say start from the bottom. And then you're going to, I want to make myself very much aware of where I need to stop. So I'm just going to make my lot just a little thicker. Just a bigger line. It's more noticeable on my end, I swear. And you're going to sew the two pieces together. I'm just double checking. It's a 1/2 inch. And don't forget now, no, I did it right. Is that to switch from a basting stitch back to a regular stitch. Okay, so, whoops. My thread is so matching I can't even see where it goes. So now you have your split front. So now you have to press it. You just open it up and you'll press on both sides. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And press it so that on the inside, the seams lay flat, like that. And you will be sewing this part down shortly. So in order to capture all those fraying edges. Okay. So now it should look like this, just a nice seam on one side, and then on the wrong side, your pieces should just lay, I mean, in this scenario, it's almost blending in, which is a good thing. And so now, where did I put it? Do I have the better one? I made two just as a practice, and this one's the better one. So now from the right side, which is the side that's facing me, can I do it this way? It's going to be like that. I don't know why they show it this way. My husband was talking. I thought he was talking to me. I was like, how does he know? Okay, so we are just going to measure it. I'm going to get my marker again, my seam gauge, and it says 3/8 of an inch, which is 10 millimeters. It's easier to count for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I just used this little red marking tool to get 10 millimeters. And then just make a quick marking. I made it on the inside so that I can see it. And then, whoops, we're going to pin it on, or clip it on, sorry. And then we're just going to sew it in. We're not going to do a button today. The button's actually the last step of this version. Okay, and then we're going to sew it on the inside, on the outside, and on the inside. So it's going to be double stitched. And if you find this too finicky with your machine, you can always hand sew it. I'm for time, and also because I don't want to hand sew, I'm just going to use my machine. The clip wasn't going to stay on, so I'm just going to take it very slow and just stitch. Again, one on the inside, on the inside here, and then on the outside as well. It's really hard because this fabric is does not show very well. And I'm just going, I'm using it as one full back stitch just to make sure it's fully in place. Because it's going to get a lot of tension with the buttonhole. If you're like mine right now, it's a little stuck because it's quite a lot of bulk and it's not moving. I'm going to look at it before I do any more damage. Yeah, it came out a tangled mess. So, seam ripper. So I guess next time I'm just going to try with a little bit more force. And I guess this is also a good reason to have a backup one in case this one gets ruined. That's not working. It's too knotted. So I'm just using my snips. Oh man. I really sewed this well. Well, I guess I didn't since I'm ripping it out, but it does not want to come out. Sorry, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, almost done. And try, I should stop using those because now I'm getting really to the dregs of it. Try not to rip your fabric. It's hard, especially when you're frustrated at it. Okay, done, done, done. I'm just pulling out all the threads. And round 2. It seems I lost my marking. It disappeared. So I'm just going to use my seam gauge again. My marker's over here. Okay. And this time I'm going to sew it right side up so that if it is a tangled mess, I'll see it. Okay, so that helped. Using it from the right side fabric, I encountered less bumps, or my machine was able to go over the bumps better. So that's what I would recommend. This won't be able to be shown on camera because I did an exact thread match because I am not a straight sewist. So I'm just snipping my thread, sorry. But you can see it there. Oh, you can't see it. You can see the impressions. So I have it on both sides there. And then over here, it's all good. So we're almost done. Well, we're almost done for today. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew down. I just want to make sure. Yeah, we're not going to do that step. We're going to sew down all the way over here on both sides. So as straight as possible. If you have matching thread, it will help you a lot. And you're just going to go from the tippy top, sew that part down, this part down and go all the way through this edge over here. And then you're done for today. The homework for next week will be to pre-sew. Let me finish this step and then I'll show you guys. We won't do it all, but I'll show you guys that one. Yeah, come. I'm going to start. Whoa. I'm going to switch my feet. I really like using this foot. I don't remember what it's called, but I use it quite often. It has this little guide. Can you see it there? It has this little guide here. I feel like since I'm following a straight line, this will help me. And it will prevent me from veering off course. It should prevent me. We'll see if it does. I'm going to go from on the bottom. And I've just moved my needle because of the foot placement and where I want it to catch the fabric. I moved my needle placement. So that's what these, on your machines, it might be different. But for me, my two buttons here, one is for stitch length, which allows you to increase or decrease your stitch length. So if you're having something that you want really, really tight, you need to be extra strong. Oh, there's someone right there. I'm glad I'm not the only one who experiences annoying tangles. No, Leanne, you are not. So that's what the increase and decrease of your stitch length, and then the larger the stitch length, which is what I said before, it's for basting or something that you want to hold temporary, or not as tightly, I guess I should say. And then the one for me, for my machine, it's right beside it, is stitch length. Stitch your needle position. So either generally your needle is in one spot and you can make it move a little bit more this way or a little bit more this way. So in this scenario, because I want the needle to shift, because I want to catch more fabric, that's where I'm going to put it. And then I just put, you got to be very careful with this. It's hard to tell because of the fabric, but this is the middle seam. I've put that under stitch foot. I think that's what it is. I put it so that the guide is right in the middle and my needle, the guide is right here and my needle is over on this side. Not exactly that far apart, but just for some. And I had to push my fabric a little bit because it was getting stuck. And I'm getting some annoying tangles. I think it's good. I'm going to keep on sewing and just hope for the best. It looks good to me. So now, because I'm at the split here, I'm just gonna make sure that this fabric gets out of my way and I just go really slow. Just getting some bunching here, so I'm just going to fix it. I kept my needle down so that my fabric doesn't move, and lifted my presser foot up. Feeling a little bit of anxiety about to look at this. It's pretty good. You can see the impression. So that should mean on the other side, all the fabric should have been caught. So I can see some issues I encountered. So that's probably what was giving me trouble, is that this fold came a little loose. So I'm gonna have to fix that. But for the most part, it's all good. And the idea is that you should be catching any of your fraying fabric. So I'm just checking, see right here, there's some frays. I'm gonna snip those off because this is similar to the French seams that we're going to do next week. Is that the whole idea of enclosing your seams is so that the seams don't continue to fray and cause problems. So I just got to do some cleanup over there, but generally speaking, it's all good. So you would just repeat the step on the other side. And then the homework, oh, I don't have the sleeves. I have the sleeves very far away. Pretend this was a sleeve and not the back piece. You're going to match up. You're going to have notches on all of your pieces, your sleeves and your back piece. You're going to match them all up. So there should be 2 notches for any back piece and 1 notch for any front piece. And so your arms should have, your sleeves, not your arms, should have on one side 1 notch and on the others, on the back side, 2 notches. So you're going to match them all up. As you can see here, this is my back. So it has 2 notches there. And let's pretend this was a sleeve though. And if it had 1 notch, it would attach to my 1 notch here. And I match them up. And then you're going to again, these are not meant to fit, but you're going to match there. And match here. Again, there shouldn't be gaps. And they're going to sew along it. So that is page 13. You're just going to do 1 bodice. And yeah, just do 1 sleeve so that we can start straight away into the French seams. But don't worry if you haven't got the time. But this is just if you wanted to follow along. That will be our 1 set of homework. So just do 1 and prepare yourselves to do the others because we're going to do 4 French seams next week. And then we'll do the rest. We'll see what time. But I think we'll have enough time next week to do the full French seams. And then there will be a lot of pressing. I mentioned this in my video last week, but because of all the pressing that we're going to be doing, a tailor's ham is really handy because we're going to be pressing. You're going to put your fabric on here, but we don't want to affect, let's say this was the back piece. We don't want to affect the back piece, so we want to put the tailor's ham in between and press on top of here with your iron. So you're going to do all the French seams that way, and then this way we don't have to repress this side or affect it in any way. So this is a tailor's ham. If you have a seam roll, it will also work. I was talking to a customer earlier today, and that's what she's using because she has it. So yeah, the only thing that might be different, the seam roll will actually come in handy for the sleeves, depending on the sleeves that you're doing. So if you have both, great. If you have 1, totally fine. You'll just notice that it'll be a little bit thinner. So just be a little bit more patient with yourself. And that's it. I'm going to end it here. Apologies again if you tuned in to the other or tried to tune into the other one. I just couldn't make it work. So next week I'm going to change things up so that I don't have these troubles for all you people. I hope you guys are having fun. This has been fun for me, and it's been fun to talk to everyone at the shop. I know Julie, also at the shop, is excited to talk to people about it because she's making it along with us. So yeah, it's fun. And I wish you all a great weekend. Bye.